We've got a lot of work ahead of us. I'm going to try to get back to this piece and finally finish it up. And I think in order to do that, I'm going to have to break it down part by part. Firstly, finishing off this bug. This bug needs to be done sometime soon. I'm going to flip it horizontally here just because why not? And I think the first thing I'm going to try to fix it are the wings. Last time I left off on the YouTube series, I was sketching in the wings and then I kind of ended it there. So I've been quite busy with Inktober and just doing my regular work stuff, working on the children's book. So I haven't had much time to stream or do painting, just general painting. And you know, I got some sleep and stuff, so I decided instead of playing some games or something, let's just finish this bad boy up. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna soften some of the lines on this wing. I think instead of duplicating it and kind of skewing it so that it also fits in with the other wings, I'm just going to redraw them individually. But the advantage to doing it this way is I think that I can get a more organic look, since they're not all identical looking, and I can always just sample colors and work quickly and kind of get it done. So it's not like a huge time saver. If you were doing like not a fine art piece, it would make more sense to kind of like speed it up and kind of just rush it out to show the client what you've got. So let's see. I do want to clean up some of these ugly strokes though, and they're there because I initially sketched out the wing really quickly, and it's something that I would, if I wanted to, I could clean up the line art, and that's if I was keeping it in the piece. But as you can see with the bottom left wing, most of the line art's already not visible, and that's because I don't really need it. Okay, I erased into the lower wing a little bit, so I'm gonna drop the eraser size, go back and take care of that. I actually want to make a few changes to the bug. I want to get the butt, the thorax I think it's called, I don't know, and I want to shape it, get it further away from the bug and drop it lower. It's gonna look more like a wasp that way. I think right now it's kind of chunky and stacked up, which is fine, if you're going for that look, but I'm going for a little bit more terrifying yet still sort of not necessarily cute, but kind of lovable, I guess. Kind of like the Abominable Snowman. He's scary and stuff because he could eat you, but he'd still, you'd be okay with that. I'm just kidding. That all does not make sense. Alright, let's see. So we're going for like a quick weave pattern. Let's do like a section right there. Nope, that doesn't work. We'll do, it splits up right there, and then we'll have them connect. It's kind of like a stained glass effect that I'm assuming bugs have. I haven't really studied bug wings too much. Hopefully the sound and stuff is coming out fine. This whole series, because I've kind of stretched it out over like the course of a couple months, which I know sucks. In the future, I'm gonna stick with shorter videos for the sake of being able to complete them faster and not make people wait. But basically, because I've spanned out over such a long amount of time, I've tried different ways to record it, and hopefully switching it up once again, and this time instead of doing a YouTube stream, I'm going straight off of Twitch. Hopefully the sound and stuff gets captured well, and the voice doesn't get all there's not too much noise and all that in the background. But if there is, then I'll live and I'll learn, and I'll make corrections for future ones. Okay, so eraser here. This part's not that important, but keep in mind if you add too much weirdly shaped lines up at the top like that, it could kind of you can attract unwanted attention to that area. Basically, you don't want the viewer's eye to kind of like be scattered and and be pushed up all the way to the edge of the canvas. That's why I might even, well, I'm not gonna lower the bug anymore, but I might do some things with like motion blur or something a little bit above its head or somewhere in that region, just to kind of divert that focus. Alright, this is the line art. I'm cutting into it because I'm gonna draw over it with the new layer, and all I need is pretty much the outline, because even though I'm gonna clean the outline up, the reason that I'm getting rid of the lines inside is I'm gonna draw in like new webbings, if I guess that's what I'm gonna call them, little webbing thingies. Alright, so see, I'm using kind of like a bluish color. I think since it's darker and it's a similar hue to the background, the blue sky and stuff, it makes the wing look transparent, since it's kind of how colors work. Also, I feel like bug wings are kind of like white, gray, kind of like that cooler color, and the blue definitely does that. Obviously you could use some more of like a organic material color like brown, or I don't know, maybe something a little bit more yellow, but I think the blue works well. So we have a couple of highlights here and there on the other wings, and another good reason to get one of the wings done first is you kind of have a reference point to base the rest of the wings off of. I mean, obviously, no duh, but it's just something to think about to keep them consistent. If you're working on, say, like a really complex mech or something, and you're working on one of its, I don't know, 14 legs, by the time you get to the 13th or 14th leg, let's say if you focus on it too hard without kind of like getting the view of the bigger picture, you might see some like the lengths start to vary, and all of a sudden it's starting to look wrong. So just keep that in mind. Zoom out, take a look. If the wing is starting to look weird, check out what's missing. So for these thick dark gray areas, I'm leaving them for now, but I'm gonna add some shading, some lighting to them, and it should make them look less not wing-like, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Also, no music today, and normally I would stream on Twitch with music, just because I don't post. I used to not post my streams on YouTube, but since this series I've started and I kind of wanted to get it done, even though I wouldn't mind moving on to other paintings, I just decided, why not do it this one time? No music, I'm just going to talk through it, for those who are trying to learn, and for those who like my voice. There you go. You're welcome. And then for those of you that don't like my voice, yeah, feel free to mute me and play music, huh? That works too. So it's kind of like a everybody wins situation, except maybe the Twitch viewers that would get on. For them it might be kind of boring, but hey, it's all good. I'm not forcing anyone to watch me. I feel like so I'm just going through the wing stuff and kind of touching stuff up. I'm not really doing any new techniques here. But I feel like with art, I always have this sort of period where, not even period, sometimes I just crave to do some work and I'm like, man, all right, it's time, you know. And other days, I'm just like, no, not today. I'm not in the mood. And today was one of those days. I felt like getting back on the horse. I've never been on a horse, but you know, I'm assuming that that saying comes from something that's similar to my situation. You know, I decided to get back on the horse and get this drawing done. So I actually think that I need to erase. Oh, let's combine the bottom wing with these top ones. I want to erase this part right here, just because if we remove the head temporarily, it's so dirty. Yeah, there's room for a torso that's missing. That's for sure. I'm definitely gonna do a little bit of cutting into the bug, but first I'm gonna finish this wing, and all I need to do is I want to squish the wing itself right here, and that's probably even more so, and that's mainly from for perspective reasons. You know, it'd be more flat than what I have it drawn at. I kind of have it at an angle where the flat side of the wing is facing us, and that wouldn't be the case. For the future, future paintings and stuff, I would say one of the biggest things that I should have done was put down some perspective lines and followed those at least sort of a little bit. But you know what? Too late, and it's fine. We'll work around that. It kind of, I guess, will make it easier for those that have not yet learned too much about perspective stuff, which I myself am excited about learning more of. You know, I feel like that's such an important topic, especially if you want to learn how to draw dynamically and anything at any angle. You know, obviously drawing stuff from a boring kind of portrait style is limiting. You know, you got to be able to, you don't have to, but if you want, it's, you know, a lot more rewarding to be able to kind of put things in motion and put them in interesting places that kind of like make the image just a lot better to look at. You know, that's what I'm trying to do with this one, where we have the offset, the ground kind of offset, and the kid is kind of at an angle. I do need to twist his head down a little bit, and we're going to do a lot of, basically we're doing a lot of operating on this bug first. We're making it look beefier. I don't know if juicier would be the right word, but we're doing something to it. Okay, let's, oh, that was my bad. I was still on the body layer, so let's get rid of that and go back to the wings. So now that we've got that wing, even though most of it's covered up, I feel better about having, you know, the adjustment in place. Let's do the thorax. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the layer, and I want to delete the butt, basically. Why I'm doing this is so that the legs are left. Since we don't want to move the legs, we just want to move the butt, we're separating those two layers. So it's going to look weird for a little bit, but just a little. Nothing to worry about here. We're going to pretty much add a midsection to this whole painting. So now we hide the layer with just the legs, and this time we go back and we erase the legs. So just the butt is left. And you know, that's a quick way of kind of separating your painting. Let's say you started painting and then you suddenly decided, oh crap, I need layers, I need to be able to move stuff around. Well, there you go. This is probably my favorite technique for doing that. And I actually think here it's going to be fairly important to hide the head. I'll leave the wings just for the sake of having a point where I'm going to put the I don't even know, the midsection of the bug. I don't know what that thing would be called. And real quick, I'm gonna lock this layer, grab a slightly larger brush, and we're gonna fix the lines so that I don't even know if calling it thorax is right. Whatever. The thorax. Maybe butt. I like saying butt more. We're just going to fix that underside just a little bit. Whatever. It doesn't have to be perfect, because I'm going to be moving it around as is. And also, I think I'm going to make the stinger thing that comes out, or not really comes out, whatever holds the stinger, like the stinger mount, I'm going to make that part look more interesting as well. So the layer is locked. We can't draw additional things, but we could erase. We could erase already existing lines and all that. And one thing I could do is we can go to, I guess it would be the selection tool. Select it. And we could distort it so that perspectively it's kind of got that cone shape headed towards us. I want to do it so that, and I'll further exaggerate that with actual, painting and all that. It looks like there's a line somewhere here. See how the box extends unnecessarily? Shoot, my English. Alright, we just erase the extras. See, and now the box is a lot finer. We like that. You just clean it just in case. It could be like a little couple of pixels, but they could screw stuff up. What the fudge? I think that's like a weird ad, so I'm gonna quickly banhammer somebody. We don't want spam. I don't want you guys to see that in chat. It's like the only thing that you guys are gonna see at the end of, well, the YouTube stream is just gonna be a bunch of like deleted messages because I'm just removing spammers. Good times. All right, so we've got the butt. Let's rotate it out a little bit. I wonder if, nah, I don't want to squish it. So let's get that midsection real quick. Let's hide the butt for now. Go back to the legs. And real quick, we want to kind of have this ball thingy going on. It's basically what's going to attach the neck to the head, or the body to the head, and the butt to the body. For humans, the butt is part of the body, but for bugs, you got like, it's like a module. It's an extra attachment. I wonder if bugs can survive without that lower part. Maybe not for long. You look at like flies, they can live, without their legs, or maybe even with one missing wing. They can't fly very well, yes, but that's like, for a human, you lose a leg, you're most likely dead unless you get some like serious medical help. And even in that case, there's like no guarantee. Oh, we got the little warning that I'm waking up in 7 hours, guys. Yeah. Just kidding. I'm probably not. Alright, so a very crude kind of barrel-shaped thingy. If I really wanted to kind of, be all super crazy about it, I could go in and slightly highlight the backside, kind of to help myself, since most of this will be covered up by the head. A good practice to doing this, or a good reason to keeping this a thing, is when if the design does change, you'll have kind of like that structure already in place. So say you're doing a piece for a client and they're like, oh, I like the bug's head, but can you make it smaller? You make it smaller and suddenly you see like this giant patch of ugliness behind it, and that's one way to kind of counteract that. So it goes into that full screen mode. I don't even know how I activate it sometimes. I never use that mode, but that is a thing. Well, real quick, let's see if... right now I'm going to move the feet around a little bit, and I'm also going to use the eraser because we've had extra stuff from... since we originally, I think, painted the bug all together and then chopped it up. It's pretty good that I just went back and, you know, since erasing whatever, I missed little pixels here and there. I feel fine going back and erasing some stuff. So we're gonna try to reposition the butt some more, and I feel like we can make it larger. Although, you know what? Let's make it skinnier. That looks cool. And then I'm gonna make the needle pretty much 3 times as large, and kind of curving towards the kid, possibly. Alright. It's gonna end up looking like a normal wasp, but first it was all like cartoony and cool, and now it's kind of just like, eh. Well, we'll see. We'll try and do stuff to make it more unique than that. And I think I need to make... Let's do that. I'm just kidding. Boop. Undo. I feel like I need to define the legs a little more, and if I end up splitting them up, you know, getting these empty gaps in the middle to kind of show some of that background through them, it's going to look really cool. So I will do that next. Actually, before I even do that, let's fix the face. I have these eyes, and then underneath the eyes you see all this color and basically stuff that just could be better. And again, just, I don't always do this, but before I collapse the eye, I'll feel better about getting these shadows and stuff done. It's sort of like when you're drawing with, you know, a pen or a pencil, and you have like long strokes to kind of give whatever you're painting a little bit more movement and all that. I feel like doing this stuff gives your overall piece, you know, obviously you don't have to paint like this. You know, it's very much not an impressionist style where if you're gonna end up rendering something so detailed, you gotta do a lot, but it kind of like sets the tone for, you know, what you're doing. And in this case, it's gonna be more of a rendered piece. Alright, we've got the little eye sockets done, and I have the eraser selected, but I wanted to shrink it in size, so let's make it smaller. You know, I'm actually really excited for the iPad Pro. Not because, you know, Apple fanboy mode engaged, but more so because of Procreate fanboy mode engaged. And they're releasing Procreate 3, which is going to have features that essentially all high-end drawing software is going to have. And you're looking at, for less than the price of a Wacom, you're looking at a portable Wacom with, you know, a really cool app that's way cheaper. So yeah, potentially this is a huge competitor of the Wacoms. I don't own a Wacom Cintiq or anything, so I can't really compare the two correctly, but I think, you know, it's gonna be a winner. And maybe the iPad Pro isn't for everyone, but most certainly I'm excited for the drawing aspect of it. I think it's gonna be awesome. Let's take a look. Alright, we got the eyes in place. This part right here, let's get rid of the wings for a sec. You see how the jaw has that slight bit of gap? I'll just draw it on the layer. I'll grab a layer on top and we'll fix it like that. So I'm using a 5 pixel size brush. Probably go down to a 4 here. I feel like you go down too much and you lose the softness a little bit, and then everything becomes really rugged and pixely, and I personally don't like that, so I try to avoid it. But I'm just using standard brushes here. There's nothing crazy about it. You can see painting, round brush, and I think it says it's modified, but I don't even know what I modified. I'm fairly certain it's a minimal thing, and I could probably take a look at it for those really wondering, but too lazy, because trust me, it's basically standard. You know, the only thing I do to get the opacity down like this is adjust it on the left here, and that's normally enough. So the difference between what I'm doing now and what I'm gonna get to do when I get the iPad Pro, if I get it, which I'm hoping I do, is that instead of me having to like adjust brush size here on the left, already I have to do less just because I get the pressure sensitivity of the stylus, of the Apple Pencil. So that's going to be awesome. I think that's going to increase workflow for me, and even just painting for fun. They've also got these really cool perspective. They've got some sort of perspective thing as one of the new features for the iPad 3, so you don't even have to draw your own perspective lines. That seems like a really neat feature that I kind of wish they implemented earlier. They implemented into this one, but you know, I don't know what sort of software limitations or what's required to have that, so I'm not really complaining. I'm just saying, you know, if it'd be nice, but they don't have it, so whatever, just moving on. But yeah, so I feel like it might increase, you know, my workflow. Although it's already become like second nature for me to kind of go back and forth and make adjustments to brushes. I'll probably still end up kind of like half painting with my hand and then half with the stylus. I'll probably end up doing detailed texture and all that on the face a little bit later. The reason that I'm staying away from it right now is there's just too much else to fix. I feel like, you know, I was saying, I think in one of the YouTube videos, oh yeah, we're like pretty much one video away, but I feel like it might be a little bit more than one video, just because I want this piece to look good, and it's going to take time for it to get there. This is just the case with a lot of my painting. Like that dragon that I did on Twitch, oh man, that took like, what, 2 weeks? Maybe a little bit less, but that was like over 20 hours of painting. I mean, it turned out cool, but I probably could have still kept putting stuff into it to make it even more epic. It's just I kind of, you know, started losing patience after so much hours of the same image, and sort of pushing yourself to the limit. You're kind of like, okay, I want to improve the painting, but I honestly don't know if what I'm gonna do will improve it. And at that point, you kind of feel like, okay, it might actually take away from the piece, so I'm going to just kind of call it done for now. And that's what I did. Alright, so here I'm just doing a slight shade above the little pinchers. So it's got kind of like a robotic thing going on, but whatever, it's a little bit more cleaned up than before. Also, I need to cut into the nose and twist it just a little. Maybe not even, oh, awkward. It's on a layer above. So we got a little bit of change here. I'm gonna zoom out and show you guys. Here, let's turn on the rest of the things. So yeah, see, we got some less see-through in the mouth basically, and with the eyes, you know, and I can make the pinchers all sharper looking as well, so we'll do that in the future. Gotta fix the right eyeball a little bit. It looks like it goes down too low, so I'm gonna cut into that a little bit on the bottom, and then maybe even warp the face so that it's not too slanted on one side. But let's do that. Let's go to the eyes, grab the eraser, and I want to cut into it a little bit. Probably like this low, and I need to stop it a little before the pincher, just so it'll have a similar shading effect as the other side. Possibly a little bit more. And see, we've already got that highlight that I originally put under it start coming through. Let's cut into it some more. All right. And that's okay. And we can take a little bit of this highlight, probably hit the bottom eyebrow, eyelid down here. This part will most likely not really be seen, but if it is, you know, whatever, it'll be there. All right, the eyes are more or less implemented. I still think it's a little too large. I think I need to chop the eyes down a little, but I understand that they're bigger than the sockets. So let's see. Yeah, I'll still cut the right eye a little bit more. I do want them to bulge out a little bit and, you know, look all bug-eyed. I think that's better. That's definitely better than what I had before. Alright, let's continue with the rest of the bug. I said that the antenna looks fine. It's not perfect. It can probably use a lot more shadow where it actually connects. So that's something that I need to keep in mind. Actually, if I turn the antenna off, I can see that on the head there's this extra space that I didn't erase because the antenna was covering it. So let's get rid of that. But in the future I can, you know, to keep design consistency and stuff going, I can implement the same kind of eyelets that I have for the eyes. I can do a similar thing for the antennas and kind of encase them in something, you know, so that it's not just coming out of the head of the bee, but it's got like its own little pocket that it sits in. So that's another thing to consider. Oh, I did want to twist the nose a little. Although, you know what? I'm pretty sure it's not like that big of a deal. Whatever, there will always be slight variation in, you know, in an organic thing. Boop. This left eye is a little large, but I think overall it's just the head is too turned or too tilted for me. I made the left eye too big, but I can fix that after I get the face done. I can use the distort tool and fix it. All right, let's get the butt fixed, and then we'll get the torso fixed after. So for the butt, what I'm doing is I want to wrap the camouflage design a little. And towards the top in the back right here, it's going to get lighter since we're hitting, you know, light. So it'll be something along these lines, kind of. But even more so, I think what I need to do is chop it down a bit on top. And now I need to wrap them more, since that'll fix like the perspective issue, I hope. So you'll see me kind of like trying to get this color and spin it around a little bit more, and same with this, bring this darker shade up somewhat. It went into that full screen mode, but you know what, whatever, it seems that like when I pitch out or something, because I'm still only using 2 fingers. I don't ever, I don't know about ever, but I very, very, very rarely will use 3 fingers, and most of the time it's like on accident. So we want to twist these things. Essentially, if we, on the edge of the butt here, if we put the lines closer together on this pattern, you know, it'll kind of show more of a warping effect. So that's what I'm going for. As you can see, it's starting to look, it reminds me of those Cheerio commercial, the little honey stick that the dude has. So that's good, right? That's when you know you're doing something right, when stuff reminds you of cereal. Alright, and it's not perfect, but you know, it could be a lot worse, I guess. And here, I think I want to make like a spine, whatever, that connects the bug. Shoot, I don't know. Do I need to know more bug terminology? Maybe. Probably like studying these things before actually like trying to paint a giant creature of it is not a bad idea. You know, I've heard before that like if your drawing is bad, you know, the fundamental part of it, most likely the end result will still kind of suck. It's sort of like the same thing as polishing a turd, which I think Mythbusters kind of busted and said that it's possible. But the point is, you know, if you do a little bit of research and you get the kind of like the understanding for what creature you're doing and how it's supposed to look, if you start right, the end result will be a lot better. Like, it's less effort to like fix problems, and you know, you'll just be happier with it. And it's kind of like the same thing for me. You know, the children's book I'm working on, I've got some images overall I'm just really happy with. I'm like, yeah, this looks freaking awesome. 10 out of 10 would read, even though I'm not a child anymore, you know. And then other images I'm just like, shoot, well, this still needs a lot of work. And then how do I fix it? What do I need to change? And then it's kind of like you need to change 20 things to get it to look right, instead of only making a few tweaks that you would have to do if you started with the solid sketch. So it's just something to kind of consider. It's not as important for me to fix the underside here, since most of it will be covered up. But the thing is, because I want to cut the space around the legs and kind of make some of the background see-through, I want to fix it, just because if suddenly we see some of that butt through the legs, that's some taken out of context, that might sound weird, then, you know, I want to just already have that part done. So it's gonna save time. And besides, when I hide layers and images and stuff, it won't look as disgusting. Which is always, like, I find really funny. The dragon that I was working on, I take some layers off, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy cow, that thing is interesting looking. It's pretty funny. And then you turn all the layers back on, and you're like, okay, well, at least now it makes sense. Alright, so before I twist these parts a little, I cut down some more of the butt. Let's let the twisting commence. Alright, we rotate that a little bit more. And the gradients and stuff don't have to be perfect. That's an easy thing to touch up, as opposed to basically changing, you know, the color of one solid color is a lot easier than having to redo an entire pattern. So I'm okay with leaving, you know, some of the edges a little rough, just because there's, again, still a lot to work on when it comes to this piece. It's kind of like one of those things where I wish that I didn't start the whole series on YouTube and stuff for it until I kind of finished it, and then maybe multiplied the speed and kind of just talk through it. But since that's not the case, you know, I guess you guys are stuck with more stuff to watch, but it's going to take a lot longer to get it out. And I actually like that the butt's a little bit transparent on the edge there, because you're getting some of that that color bouncing off. Well, actually, it's not really bouncing, it's just you're seeing it through the thorax. But either way, you know, it's a technique that I probably would end up doing to put the object within the light a little bit more. So we're gonna fix the stinger here and now. It needs a lot of love. I think it's in all sorts of wrongs right now. So I'm going to probably erase it and just redraw a mounting point for it. And I don't like this part right here. I feel like, well, actually, if I redraw the stinger, it'll be perfectly fine. Just because I'm going to be erasing that part anyways. So let's do it. I'm going to get rid of the stinger. And while I'm getting rid of it, I'm also going to realign the butt. And see, when it comes to the stinger, I could have also tried to make the pattern of the thorax bend so that at the bottom it's sort of leaning towards us. But if I don't do that, I think I can just have the stinger itself do the twisting motion. Although, you know, maybe I could. If I cut in the line a little here and still have this warping effect going on, I think I can make it look somewhat close to what I wanted. Alright, and down here we're going to cut this part out, leaving just the slight mount for the stinger. Alright, looks fine. I think it's already some pretty good progress made on the bug. We haven't even been drawing for that long, which is, you know, I guess a good sign. Just gotta keep myself stretched and not become all crippled from, I don't know, I've had streams where it's like only 4 hours, but it's not the same as, you know, like gaming or something, where you can kind of change position. With drawing, you kind of get locked into your one spot, and then you start, or at least for me, my shoulders start to ache, and I'm just like baby raging. Alright. Alright, stinger is a simple spike that you know, you just cut down and you kind of make it all sharp and intimidating looking, and then if you want, you can lock the layer of the spike, grab a lighter color, and you can hit the rim and light that sucker up so that it's so that it stands out from the background a little. Here I'm going to I think for the butt itself, what I'm going to do is have the tip be this darker color as well. Or even maybe not darker. No, yeah, we'll do this. Just gotta color it so that it kind of makes sense. To why it looks the way it does. Sorry if I'm like quiet in some areas. I just try to like pay attention and focus a little bit so I don't have to redraw something multiple times. Alright. Great. Great, mate. Don't hate. Alright, let's get back to separating. I don't really like the rim light. I think the rim light needs to go on the Stinger. I think it's a little cheesy looking. Besides, we're going to do some adjusting of other parts for now. What I want to do is I want to separate the torso from the legs. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Since the legs need to have a little bit of space through them and stuff, and I can reposition them and everything. So there's going to be 4 smaller legs and 2 larger legs in the back. So let's duplicate this layer. This might take a little while. I'm kind of, I guess, going a different direction with the painting overall. I think originally I was saying something more like, you know, I was planning on keeping it loose and kind of just work it all into one thing. But I think for me to get the character right, which is the bug, you know, it's one of the characters, sure. It's a pretty important part of the painting. I need to break it down. It just will help me see, and then hopefully it also helps you guys see what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So, I think here we cut the legs off, leave just the torso, and then just work our way from there. And then the next scene we just worry about having the legs sitting in a appropriate place and in relation to the rest of the body. So we have this big brush and it's actually softening the edges beyond much past what I'm actually trying to erase, which I guess is fine because it gives it a softer look. And once all the colors and all that are in place, you don't want everything to be super rough edged, or maybe you do, but I don't. I want it to be a little bit soft looking. It gives a better sense of movement if you have some blurring, but don't overdo it because then you're just looking at like a giant blurry mess. Unless you know what you're doing, you should try and avoid blurring too much. I think we've been streaming for an hour because Flux is just letting me know when I should be sleeping. So bossy. So bossy. Alright. We've got sort of the torso separated. I think I want to make it smaller in size, and that's going to leave less room for the legs to kind of attach, but too bad. That's just what needs to happen, I feel. No, not too much smaller, actually. We'll go smaller, but not too much smaller. And the cool thing is, since it's on its own layer, we can just shrink it. Here, we're going to distort it so that it twists a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But I think we need to make the bottleneck slightly smaller. And the reason for that is there will be more room for the legs to attach if we do this. Since you could see the little darker spot on the torso earlier, you know, I imagine that's sort of where the neck pivot thingy goes, like the spine. And if it's showing, then it just looks too big. It's kind of will look weird, possibly. So I'm just grabbing some of the colors, sampling the local colors, and because I have lowered opacity, it allows me to blend. You see that? And just sample it, do a couple strokes, sample the darker version of it, and then just keep going down the line, and it'll start to blend. And then, you know, you can smooth that out with a smudge tool, or just refine the process by doing the same thing. Refine the result by doing the same exact technique. We can probably go brighter on the little torso, but it's fine. Alright, we've got bug. Situation is looking alright. Let's hide this stuff and let's separate out the torso. So I want to leave the legs with their joints in the approximate positions. It's going to be pretty important because I could go about it two ways. I can cut each individual leg out and kind of put on their own layer, but I think I'm going to take the approach where they're all together, and I just fix the legs all on one layer. Although maybe I will do the two big legs in the back because they kind of take up a lot of area, and then the four smaller ones on their own. That might be the right way to do it. So we'll have kind of like the arm sockets with the arms. Move this here. Erase whatever was up there. See, alright, now we've got this thing. And see, you can just like, that's the beauty of having it on a separate layer. You see how like it goes beyond the stinger? I don't like that. And then even more so, I could be like, well, I want it to kind of look like it's flying. So you just lean the legs, and all of a sudden they don't dangle as much. Yeah, it looks weird right now, but I'm just showing you, you know, the possibility because it's all in separate layers. You just have like an easy way to customize it all. And then we have to make adjustments to the wings because we adjusted the body. So with the wing, I feel like the best thing I should have done was actually drawn out the full things, but that's a minor thing that I need to worry about. You know, the wings were drawn real quick anyways to show you guys sort of like the idea for them. I kind of do like the legs dangling off to the side a little like that. I think the butt needs to be, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to merge this with the stinger so that it's on its own layer. And then I kind of want to lock its size. Is there a way to do that? There's the magnet, which kind of locks the position that it's in. I guess I can do this and then rotate it. No, I don't like that. Let's see. I guess that doesn't look too bad. But I think now the legs would need to be. Yeah, I think that looks better. You kind of, if I remove the head, you'll see that the butt and the body have a smaller gap, so there would be a smaller little connecting thing holding them, which makes sense. At least for me it does, so I like it. Alright, let's, I'll keep this this new combined stinger on its own layer, just because if I have to redraw it, all I need to do is erase the stinger and redraw it, because the stinger is like a 5-second thing. Let's see. Alright, so what we wanted to do was fix the legs. Oh shoot, this is like the longest painting tutorial ever. It's like I'm learning more from it, you know, than you guys. But hey, you know what? I'll take that trade. Being all selfish and stuff. Alright, I'm using the eraser, and we're going to cut out the 2 big legs. Look how weird that looks. If we just leave it 4-legged, yeah, that'd be really weird. I think it'd be interesting if you were doing like a simplified animation or something. You know, the advantage of having less legs is less animating. But in our case, it's not an animation, and we want it to look like a bug. I think giving it 4 legs would just be really weird, especially if you gave the legs like fingers or something. And hey, I'm not trying to bash. If somebody did that, you know, go for it. I'm just, from my vision, it's not what I want. So the legs are just going to consist of a couple of little bubbles that kind of go upwards. I think we're going to do 2. So the big sack, the toe, it's not a toe, the leg, I guess, the foot, and let's see, and the joint that holds them. So that's the gist of it. Let's do another. I'll highlight them more, but I think I think first what I need to worry about is getting the silhouette right. You know, because painting within it is just as easy as locking the layer, and then you know, you make the adjustments according to what you need. But the silhouette matters the most, since that's essentially what we're going to see. It's going to be in the background of the shorter legs, so we will still see these legs. I think it's important to make sure that they look right. Also, notice that I'm doing 2 individual legs, even though, you know, somebody might be like, well, why not just duplicate it, flip it, blah blah blah, stretch it a little. Yeah, that could work, but this way, first of all, you guys get to see more drawing stuff, and it's also not a bad idea to kind of have that variety. Just redraw it. With some stuff, it's definitely better to just make duplicates. So we're using this like slightly darker color for the outline, but again, then I'm going to lock the layer, and I can go in and make any necessary adjustments, tweaks. Here I'm using an eraser, and I want to indicate that the leg section is split a little bit. So I'm using the eraser, going in on the parts where they would be joined. Bam. Split. Lock the layer, use the darker color. See, this lighter part right here is just not full opacity. It's a slightly transparent part of the leg, so I'm going to go in and erase it. You know, keep an eye out for those if you're using like low opacity layers or brushes. It's pretty easy to kind of like let them slip by. Alright, let's get a slight highlight on the thigh. We're not going too bright, we're just you know, so we got the general idea for the color. We could probably even go like really dark, because it is on the underside of the bug, and you know, with other legs in front of it, it might look really confusing. But again, that's the beauty of keeping it on a separate layer. We've got that thing to fall back on, we can just easily recolor it. Here I'm going to do something similar to that. I'm just going to lower the opacity of the brush, grab a darker color, and do a couple of swirls. Grab the slightly lighter color that's remaining and blend it out. So you've got that leg. And do the same thing on the other side. Again, grab that darker color, do a couple of swirls, leaving some of the lighter color inside. In this case, I'm just going to grab the lighter color from the other side, from the other leg, and do the same thing. Just blend it into it. So they're not identical, but you know what? They're similar enough to kind of be able to tell that it's from the same animal. That's just the goal, you know. You aim high, so that it looks like all the parts come from the same animal. Here we've got the darker color selected, which is bueno. I think that means good in Spanish. And also French? No, not French. I think that's... maybe. No, never mind. Okay, guys, I'm getting way off tangent here, and you know, I don't even speak those languages. I speak Russian. Sorry. All right, we've got some darkening here and there. Great, mate. Do a little bit of highlight just because, I don't know, it might not even be required there. I'm gonna grab this darker color from the stinger and work that into the toes of the bug. Nope, don't like that. They just look all metal or something like that. Even with highlights and textures and all that and making them fuzzy, it just wouldn't look right. We are going to just use this dark color. I said dark color. There. And we will make them look all fuzzy and whatnot. These little expanded sacs are supposed to be carrying pollen? Yeah. Pollen. But in this case, since it's, you know, a different universe in my own world, it's going to be carrying blood. That's right. It's hunting tribesmen. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to make it all crazy gruesome. We're going to shrink the leg size, and splitting these apart so I can kind of like skew them and all that will not be too hard. I can just go to the curves layer, and I think I want to... oh no, we have red. No, we don't want to play around with the red tool a lot. I want to make it darker. Oh, that seems fine. What is this, the preview? Oh yeah, if you hold it, that's before and after. Okay, that's fine. So they're the legs in the background. Yeah, I think I need to split them a little. Actually, I don't need to split them. I just need to get these under our midsection. No, that looks kind of wonky. Take it back up. And is it locked? It's still locked. Grab the darker color right there. I think we're going to go even darker at the base where it should attach. And we're going to drop them in. Okay, and I actually will split that leg from this one, and I have a good reason for it. Oh yeah, I need to duplicate these layers first. So it's like a weird way of doing it. Oh, I guess I don't need to select it, but yeah, you can cut it out and then make sure everything but whatever object you have selected with the selection tool either becomes adjustable or not. So that's the long way of doing it, but since the objects are pretty far from each other and split up, I just duplicate the layers and erase one of the legs. on one layer and then erase the other leg on the other layer. And now we have two separate layers of legs. Why am I doing this? Because I'm dumb. No, just kidding. Just because I want to have one leg on the outside or underneath. Which leg? This leg. We want it underneath the belly. And I also want to twist it. So we use the selection tool, we hit the area in the joint, and we do a little bit of twisting. So, you know, that's something that you can do with that tool. If, you know, for those that don't use transform tools often, you see that it took me like 5 seconds or something. Instead of having to redraw a bunch of the lines, I just need a quick adjustment, bam, done. This torso here could be cut down now. You know what? Maybe we even put it above, but we change this part right here so that it's a little bit more slanted, and it'll work with what we're going for, which is like that round torso design. Kind of like that, but at the same time I see that I need to cut this thing down a bit. And I hope all this effort will be worth it in the end. Piece better look rock solid. I'm just gonna be like, oh well. You know? Realistically, if it doesn't look as I wanted it, I'll just be like, I tried. Just because it's, you know, one that I'm doing for myself. Well, and for you guys. But it's not like a client's piece. It's essentially a learning experience for both of us, right? Because I have to learn how to focus while talking and kind of, you know, figure stuff out right away, which sometimes I don't when I paint and I don't show my stuff to people. I'm kind of just like, well, that's not working, you know, and then I take my time. And I also get to focus, the added benefit of focusing while not trying to speak and form sentences and not sound like some sort of moron. Alright, is that good for now? Did we make enough changes for it to matter? Yeah, see, I kind of like the lighter colors on the bottom. Yeah, I do. I'll definitely play around with the colors. I'm gonna tweak those some more. We're gonna merge those two bottom legs together because they're basically in a spot where I like. Let's go back to these old legs. Get rid of the new ones, the upgrades, and I want to cut around the old legs on the old long legs. The weirdest sentences ever. Whenever I'm describing what I'm doing, I end up saying some like really weird stuff, which is okay. It's just a byproduct of working on painting weird things and talking about it throughout the painting. So there's supposed to be one more leg in the background, but I think since I can only kind of see it, I think I'm going to mostly cut into it and then just edit it when I'm done cutting it around these objects. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this. These legs remind me a little bit of like overlords from StarCraft, which is a really cool design. I love Mr. Jack's paintings of them. They're freaking insane. But he hasn't posted much in a while. Nothing on like his YouTube or anything. I don't know, I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan of his work. Alright, that looks more or less about right. For this hand to match the other, we need to cut down this part a little bit, but for all intensive purposes, this thing is come on. So to distort, I don't think I've talked about this before. You click a point of interest, you click and hold. Oh, this is to shear. So if you hold a side, it'll kind of like skew it, I guess. But if you click and hold an edge, it's distort, and you can totally play around with perspective, because you can, you know, stretch an object. If you imagine like 2-point perspective, I don't know if you guys learned that in elementary school or wherever, in like art school, public art school, they'll talk about it, and that's kind of what I'm doing. And then we want to, I kind of want to move that back leg all together. Let's, and it would be cool to have the 4 little legs on separate, kind of a separate trajectory, I guess, than the bigger ones. So the bigger ones are, because they're longer, they get more affected by the wind or some BS like that, right? Just talking out of my butt here, but you know, that's I think that might be a thing. So let me see. This is one of the back legs. I just kind of want to draw within its silhouette to figure out how far back it is and what we do to it. This is one of the other back legs that's further down there that I think I need to readjust. I actually need to readjust all 4 legs to be a little bit closer to each other. So we're going to do, oh man, it's starting to become very layered, this piece. I think I want to do this where the 2 front legs are pretty much touching, and then this back leg is obviously way too high up now, but we adjust it as well. And it's going to be behind this other foot. Or leg, I guess bugs don't have feet. Okay, and then just use a darker color to kind of indicate that it's, you know, behind and all that good stuff. And use the lighter color on these front ones. I guess I can, again, since we have them on layers and stuff, we can play around with colors soon. I kind of want to extend the torso now, because this looks like it's in a better place than before, and this looks about right as opposed to what I previously had. Again, it's kind of weird, but once I color the legs to match themselves, I think it's going to end up being a lot more appropriately drawn. So with the wings, I can salvage what I've already done so that I don't have to do more work. I think we do this, we twist this, I'll just do this for now. I'll skew them like that. We're just gonna get rid of the other side of the wings, just because I'm going to use what we already have to kind of flip and put into position, and then we'll draw more from there. So we click the little flippy tool, we line them up almost together, and then we can use that skew mechanic to to kind of, well, it doesn't really look how I want, but you know what? Again, we just play around with it a little bit, get it to approximately what we want. And real quick, I'm going to kind of show where I want to take it by grabbing like a lighter color, which will not be messed up from the background, which, you know, could be visible through the background. We're gonna outline our wings a little. Let's hide our bee. I think the bee's head is too big now, but I kind of like that it has a big head. You know, it's really easy to see. I guess once the head is done and I merge the layers, I can really take a look and see if I want to keep the size that it's at or downsize it or what. I think these wings are still sort of off. So all I'm gonna do is just grab these wings and we're gonna put them on the layer underneath, and that's kind of okay, I guess. It's kind of ugly, but I'll draw them in later. I'll fix them. I don't want the stream to go too long. I do want to finish this painting sometime this year, as kind of easy as that sounds. I know I haven't been painting a lot. Let me see where these wings are positioned right now if I remove the head. Kind of fine, right? We don't really see them now. You know, maybe I'll still change it and make the wings more visible. Like where they're more folded down instead of being way up. Alright, overall this piece still has a lot of work that needs to be done. But I'm done for now. This bug is bugging me. Pun intended. Alright guys, thanks for watching as always. Sorry that the videos span such a long span of time before I can get them out to you, but I'm still thinking about it, trust me. It's still something that I want to do and get out and show you guys. So anyways, yeah, thanks for watching. You guys have a good one. Stay beautiful as always, and yeah, until next time.